I'm non-zero sum James, your companion on this exploration of win-win games. So we've taken a cursory glance at what we want to achieve, to take part in more win-win games. Now it's time to introduce our adversary, the antagonist in this story. Moloch is a metaphor describing systems where individual rational decisions lead to collectively bad outcomes. The next 3 episodes will explore how Moloch manifests, how it's so hard to break free, and what strategies might help us escape these traps. So, who is Moloch? Recently I came across an interview with an astrophysicist and former professional poker player who read an article about an old poem about an even older god, which may or may not be either an even older mythical creature or potentially an even older word, which represents a particular type of negative sum game. And that particular type of negative sum game is very relevant right now. The god in question is the namesake of this here post, Moloch, or Molech, as the case may be. But before we get into that, welcome to the Moloch interdimensional spaceport baggage claim. For the thorny devils arriving at the Moloch interdimensional spaceport baggage claim, it takes forever to retrieve their bags, because a few of these prickly characters insist on crowding the conveyor, blocking the vision and the path of those stuck behind them. Those in front still have to wait for their bag to come to their spot on the conveyor, while those behind have to wait till their bag reaches the very end of the conveyor, where they might have a chance to push past and retrieve their bag before it vanishes back into the mouth of the beast. Some can't see anything, and those in front, having retrieved their bags, are trapped by the horde behind them. This is where I'm that guy going, so yeah guys, I'm just going to scooch back here a bit, leave a bit more space. Not saying everyone needs to. I mean, you do you, I'll do me. I'll just be doing what's best for everyone. No judgment. Just, yeah. For each of these woesome souls, all they want is to get their bag and get to the taxi stand. But no one is leaving anytime soon. Who is to blame for this situation? Moloch. Moloch is a nasty character. He appears in John Milton's Paradise Lost as the most bloodthirsty of all the fallen angels, and is named in the Bible as a Canaanite god associated with child sacrifice. But there is some confusion over whether Moloch is a god or merely the personification of the Punic word for sacrifice, which is milk, M-L-K, or perhaps it is a combination of the Hebrew words for king, melech, combined with the word for shame, boset. There are also many parallels between the bona fides of Moloch and the ancient Greek Minotaur. Both have a bull's head on a man's body, and the fury of both are only appeased by ritual sacrifice. So, as with many myths, the origins are hazy. What does Moloch mean? Moloch is conceived as a tyrannical god that demands child sacrifice, threatening far worse if his hunger is not satisfied. In game theoretical terms, the negative payoff for losing his support, or worse, courting his ire, makes yielding to the tyrant's demands the optimal strategy. But in doing so, the victims keep the monster alive, so they can never escape this perpetual negative sum game. It is the fact that the population are complicit in their own subjugation, which is the essence of a Molochian system, like our unfortunate friends at the Moloch interdimensional spaceport. Now, why is this relevant today? The concept of Moloch has been recently popularized by Liv Bowery, that astrophysicist poker player mentioned at the start, in her works on the beauty wars and the media wars, where she explores the emergence of Molochy situations born of Instagram beauty filters and the media. It's Liv who calls Moloch the god of negative sum games. Moloch thrives in situations where individual free choices lead to bad collective outcomes. Now, individual freedom is a great and desirable thing, but as technology creates more opportunities for systems built of multiple free agents, from social media to the global free market, even to democracy itself, it has become important to recognize when these systems involve perverse incentives that drive individuals to act against their own best interests or the best interests of the group. Now back to the thread. Liv Bowery discovered the concept through an article called Meditations on Moloch by Scott Alexander, which was an exploration of the poem Howl by Allen Ginsberg, which seems to use Moloch as a metaphor for the evils of modernity and capitalism, epitomized in this line: Moloch, whose love is endless oil and stone, Moloch, whose soul is electricity and banks. Alexander uses the poem to flesh out the metaphor of Moloch, drawing from numerous sources. I recommend reading the article linked in the description, and I intend to write about this in greater detail at a later date. For now, it's enough to say that Moloch is a metaphor that's in the zeitgeist, and for good reason, because it helps us to understand the challenges we face as an increasingly global society with, hopefully, increasing individual freedoms. Why personify this? Sometimes we might notice that a system so inevitably leads to downfall that it seems to be designed to fail. By personifying the concept of Moloch, it helps us to connect that feeling about the pernicious nature of a particular system to a mental shorthand. This seems designed by Moloch. Once we have put a name and a face to the issue, we can interrogate it and devise an escape from it, like stepping back from the crowd at the baggage claim. It's occurred to me that, counterintuitively, personifying this force as a fictional being might actually inoculate us against conspiracy thinking, recognizing that, of course, the system isn't purposefully designed to fail by a group of humans. It's something deeper that's at the root of this. And then we can set about understanding the problem structurally. Back to the baggage claim. Perhaps you have found yourself at the Moloch interdimensional spaceport baggage claim and observed one or two lizard brains start to crowd the conveyor, and suddenly half the passengers are scrambling for a space while the rest of you throw up your claws in despair. Moloch's victims are just trying to get their bag as quickly as possible, but the result is that it takes longer for everyone. However, it's not always the case. Often we experience baggage claim utopia, where each person waits behind the yellow line. They spread out, giving everyone good visibility, and leaving enough space for whoever spots their bag to grab it and get out again. That's because people generally understand the system. We've had positive and negative experiences and have learned to act in unison. This is how we escape Molochian situations. And the faster we learn to spot them, the quicker we'll learn to work together to solve them. So, Molochian systems are all around us, where rational decisions made by unwitting individuals can lead to negative outcomes. And Moloch is a suitably abhorrent personification that can help us develop a recognition of these systems and recoil from them accordingly. Understanding these systems allows us to make sure we're not part of the problem, but rather, like our baggage claim utopia, part of the solution. And there are always solutions. They just require us to look at the bigger picture and ask, who is controlling this situation? Us or Moloch?